Welcome on Texas football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Gerry Hamilton. We're here to talk Texas defensive grades now. We did the offensive ones a little bit ago, Gerry. Defense, not their best performance of the year, giving up 24 points. That's the second most Texas has given up all season long. Cade Klubnik had his best, most prolific yardage game of the year, I believe, or the second best. He really was the focal point for a Clemson offense that could not get a run game going. Texas made them one-dimensional, but Klubnik had a good set of receivers, whether it's the wide receivers, or the tight end. They made a game of it, but the Texas defense stiffened at the very end and ended up stopping Clemson on the goal line when they could have cut it to one score. Overall, Gerry, it was not a great performance for the Texas defense, but it was a winning performance. What do you think overall?
Yeah, it was a winning performance. I mean, look, we talked about it going into this game that, Texas hadn't faced. This was the best quarterback, best offensive team skill-wise Texas had faced, and it looked like it. I mean, they gave up 412 yards at home, and Clemson was 2 of 3 in the red zone, and maybe should have been 3 of 3, except for some bad calls by Garrett Riley there. And good stop by Bill Norton and the Texas defense on that fourth down as well, to give credit to Texas as they deserve it. For playing what was in front of them. I thought it was okay. I mean, like there were too many players just beaten though in that game. I mean, when you go, here's the thing, we could just go all sunshine and roses and say A's all around, but that's not what the Texas staff's going to grade this game at defensively. So we shouldn't either. There were too many missed assignments. There were too many guys with drifting eyes that got beat. This was the first time all year that Texas defense, I looked at and said, ooh, Oregon can put up points on Texas. This was the first game that I walk away saying, if you play Oregon and that offense, they have a chance to put up 30 on you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think there were some holes on Saturday in the Texas defense. Not perfect, but still, like I said, winning football overall, especially that goal line stand there when they had to have it in the fourth quarter to kind of ice that game. Good job there by the Longhorn defense. Let's start up front. Gerry, Barron Sorrell with a sack, Ethan Burke with a sack. We did not hear much. By the way, Barron Sorrell also batted up the ball that gave Colin Simmons the interception. But we didn't hear much from Vernon Broughton or Alfred Collins on Saturday. Bill Norton had the big defensive stop. What do you think of the Texas defensive front, the front four, Trey Moore as well, against Clemson?
Yeah, this was the highest graded group for me. I give them a solid B in this game because, look, they were in the backfield enough. There's multiple sacks from that group. I mean, Ethan Burke had a sack. Barron Sorrell had a sack. Bill Norton had a sack. So all 3 sacks were on the defensive line. Your tackles for loss, Vernon Broughton had half. Colin Simmons half. You said the quarterback hurry and the interception there. Bill Norton a tackle and a half, tackle for loss and a half. Barron Sorrell the same. Ethan Burke the same. Alfred Collins half a tackle for loss. I thought they did their job very well in this game. Clemson wasn't full strength at running back, obviously, but I give this group a solid B because they had tackles for loss. They were disruptive up the middle. They got edge pressure early in the game. Where did that edge pressure go late? Something to see on a rewatch from Saturday night, but I give the defensive line a solid B because they beat the Clemson offensive line routinely in this game.
Yeah, they did, and I'm going to give them a B plus. I thought they caused a turnover. They controlled the game, did not allow, even though Clemson, look, they did not have a running game. They abandoned it essentially in the second half, but they came up big on that goal line stand. I keep coming back to that because it was so huge. They tried running the ball 3 times out of four downs in the red zone inside the 10, Gerry, and couldn't come away with it because Texas controlled the line of scrimmage in that category. Yeah. And I think that for me, that was big. I gave him a B plus. Let's go to linebackers. Now, Anthony Hill led the team in tackles, right? No doubt about it. Led the team in tackles, but he did not play well against the pass. He gave up 2 touchdown passes to his guys, one on a little bit of a continuation route that he just got caught on with his eyes in the backfield. You talked about wandering eyes earlier. Another one, he lost sight of his guy in his zone and didn't match up with him on a 4th down touchdown play from Clemson. But Leon LaFalle at the same time, Jerry, made a great heads-up play on a fake play by Clemson. That was a big-time play. Mo Blackwell, David Benda also playing roles on Saturday as well. What did you think of them as a whole? Because I will tell you, despite the numbers from Anthony Hill, I think this was a learning experience for him.
Yeah, and look, Clemson tempoed these guys a little bit too, and I think that got Texas linebackers on their heels. They put Texas linebackers in conflict more than anybody I've seen maybe since Oklahoma last year in a game because the QB run, how many QB draws were called. So Texas was put in conflict a lot at the linebacker position Saturday. If I'm being honest, it's between a D+ and a C-. I'm going to go D+. I mean, look, they gave up a couple of leaky runs, and look, Clemson's got good players, more off of bad run fits as well. I got to go D+ because they got lost in coverage too much. Anthony Hill, and you know, Leon LaFalle had made the good play in pass coverage on the trick play, like you said. But anytime a team is picking on your position, you can't grade that position really high.
I would agree with that from a pass perspective. Yeah. They were unable to pick on them in the run game. And Klubnik, you can say what you want. He never really got free in the run game.
Right. It was all QB draws in up inside. Yeah.
Yeah, up inside. And Texas, the linebackers played those well by and large. I really thought so. I don't think he had a run over 10 yards on Saturday. And so I get the D+, C-. I'm going to go C overall. I think the two, Anthony Hill getting lost in coverage could come back and bite him, but this gives him some tape to go look because people are going to see this. This isn't going to be and it's not something we didn't think with a young linebacker like a sophomore in Anthony Hill, who has such explosive ability going forward. Figuring out the nuances of the game sometimes take a little bit, but still, I feel like Texas linebackers played well enough to win, absolutely dominated the run and held Cade Klubnik and contained him in check. Of course, the defensive front did that as well as anybody, but linebackers played a role there too in making sure he didn't spring for any big gains. All right, the secondary. Now, this one is a difficult one for me because 43 attempts, I think, for Cade Klubnik, 336 yards. Not a how do I want to put this? It was not an inspiring performance at times by Texas, but they did enough to win the ball game. Manny Muhammad got picked on more in this game, Jerry, than he has in his entire career at Texas. What do you think that was? I talked to Rod Babers about that a little bit last night. And he's like, I think he got caught thinking he was a little bit better. And they really just went at him. A lot of back shoulder throws against Manny Muhammad. I'm not sure Manny Muhammad was ready for those really.
Yeah, and look, he faced a bigger receiver that was going to win 50-50 balls. And what Clemson did was said, all right, go make a play on our bigger wide receiver on 50-50 balls. And so I think Clemson won those advantages Saturday night is what they did. And look, I thought Gavin Holmes and Jahdae Barron had really good games. And they had to move Jahdae Barron to nickel and took Gilbo off the field. So you kind of got a great Gilbo and the DBs on that Texas had to make a move that they felt like they had to make. And Gilbo's been really good this year. But again, Texas felt like they were forced to make a move and take Barron, the Thorpe winner, off a corner and put him at nickel. That's never a good thing. That means you're getting beat too much. So I'm going to go C- for this group as a whole. Just as a whole, I thought Gavin Holmes made some plays. I thought Barron, when he was at corner, made 2 plays early in this game. But look, this is the first game. I mean, if we're going to give these guys A's when it's all really good, we have to be honest here too. I mean, 336 yards passing in your own house, 400 yards. I mean, I know they only scored 24 points, and I think the points part of it was a B. They held them on third downs better because I think they were 2 for 2 on the first drive. And then after that, Texas did a better job on third downs, money downs. But look, the quarterback was very confident in the second half of this game. He was feeling it. And you're only feeling it if your guys are making plays for you and you're seeing things. And again, maybe some drifty eyes tonight more so than what we've seen this year at times. So I'm going to go C-. And look, it's football. It is what it is. I mean, sometimes you get an A, sometimes you get a B, sometimes you get a C. But Texas won the football game, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm being too harsh. But I mean, the Texas staff's not going to go grade these guys an A after that either. They're going to say, look, we got a lot of things we can work on and get better at from this game.
Absolutely. And Manny Muhammad, that's going to be interesting because he got caught looking in one time when he could have potentially had a pick against when Jake Brainingstool, the tight end, made that really nice catch. Manny came in on it instead of sitting back in the zone where he was supposed to be, and kind of got beat. And then that was the start of maybe some follow-on losses he had that were tight. He didn't have bad coverage in any of those, but just got beat. So it happens. It happens.
Clemson, I may be too hard on him, Bobby, because Clemson has NFL players. But it's I just look at it. What do we look at when we grade somebody an A and a B and a C? Well, this was the C performance that they've had this year, the only time they've had one.
I will say this. They did adjust well. That first touchdown pass, for example, I thought, oh, my goodness, here we go again with crossing routes. Yeah. They're going to have a hard time with them. Well, remember the very last offensive play of the game for Clemson? What was it? It was a crossing route. Yeah. Texas was ready for it, right? And so I think that they learned throughout the game. I think Cade Klubnik elevated his play. I think his wide receivers elevated their play as it went on. And again, he threw for the most yards he's thrown all season, I think, or one of the top two. Maybe one other game, Appalachian State may have been higher for him.
But Brian Robeson said something last night, which makes me somewhat think I'm a little too hard on the DBs. When the pressure stopped from the front on Cade Klubnik, your secondary can't cover forever. But so there were times that maybe I'm too hard on them because Texas didn't get the consistent pressure in the last part of the football game. But at the same time, you still saw maybe more indecision from the Texas secondary in this game than I've seen this year.
I think that's fair. That's fair. I gave them a C. I don't think they're perfect, but it wasn't an overwhelming defensive performance at all. Let's talk about the defense as a whole next. But first, I want to say thank you to our friends over at the Carrot Concierge. That is Jody Reynolds. She is the Carrot Concierge with an office right there in Westlake. Jody focuses on helping men purchase the special gift for the woman in your life. You can use the QR code on the screen to see even more, or visit her on Instagram or her website, thecarrotconcierge.com as well. Jody prides herself in providing personal service. She takes the extra steps to make sure your lady gets exactly what she wants. She also has no overhead because she doesn't have a storefront. Therefore, she can get you as much as 30% discount on your cost of jewelry at a jewelry store. If you're looking for something special for birthdays or an anniversary, Christmas just passing, Jody has a variety of tennis bracelets, rings, necklaces, and more, all beautiful jewelry, all personalized for you and yours. Check out the carrotconcierge.com. Visit her website now for more. All right, Jerry, a little bit more to discuss. All right. The defensive grades as a whole, in your opinion. I think you and I are going to disagree. I think this is a situation where I'm going to give Texas defense a C+. Not the greatest performance. Gave up the second most points they've given all year. 24. They gave up 30 to Georgia in the first game there. But my take on this is twofold. One, you talked about them Clemson going 2 for 2 on third down in the first drive. Listen to this stat. Clemson was 3 of 12 for the entire game on third down.
Yeah.
So that means they were only 1 of 10 the rest of the way. They were also 1 of 3 on fourth down, including that goal line stop. I look at it, and I actually think that Texas kept the ball in front of them for the most part, except when they hit those back shoulder fades down the field. I mean, Texas defense played a little bend but don't break. They broke a little bit more often than they normally do, but they may have played a better offensive scheme or in skill than they've played previously this year.
Yeah, and look, and Texas got up enough in that game where it forced Clemson to go 2-minute offense.
Yes, the whole time.
Texas hadn't faced a lot of that. I go C. I'm between C and C plus, and
okay.
I think I'm going C as overall because I think Texas won the line of scrimmage. Now, Clemson didn't have a running back. They ended up playing Adam Randall at running back because of their injuries, and Moffa couldn't go after getting on that screen after he got pushed out of bounds and kind of rolled on his shoulder. So they were very limited in what they could do offensively from a run game standpoint, trying to establish a run, but I don't think they would have established a run against Texas. But again, this is just, for me, it's the reason I give them a C is it's just, this is the first time they look susceptible all season. And if we're going to give them an A for a lot of those other performances, and if I measure it against some of those A's, I've got to go C, C plus like you did. I can't give them a B on this from a points given up standpoint, B minus, right? But from a yard standpoint, from a Clemson mounting drive standpoint, from not getting consistent pressure in the second half when you needed it, maybe Texas should have gone NASCAR package more like Rod says. But I'm going to go solid. I'm going to go solid C, almost C plus. You won the game. You advanced. You beat a team you're supposed to beat. You actually covered the spread in this game. But defensively, I don't think we're being too hard on him because I think the coaches are going to grade him similar, Bobby.
No, and I look, I graded it as C, I think overall. My take on this is really simple. They were 1 yard away from giving up 31 points.
That's right.
And outside of the Quinn Ewers interception and DeAndre Moore interception, even more appropriately, they didn't have a short field. They had one short field on a punt. That was a short punt. And then that return actually even ended up on Clemson's side of the field because of the illegal block. So it wasn't that Clemson got a bunch of short fields here and scored. They actually drove the ball.
Yeah.
To your point, 412 yards of total offense.
Play, Bobby.
But situational defense.
Yeah.
3 of 12 on third down, 1 of 3 on fourth down.
Yeah.
That's that. If you told me that those were the numbers, I would say Texas wins this game.
No doubt.
4 of 15 on money downs. Good stuff. Texas, by the way, on offense, 6 of 12 on third downs, to give you a comparison, right? All right, let's talk a little special teams. There wasn't much for Texas. Silas Bolden fielding a punt and then fumbling it after getting run into by Juan Davis. Bert Auburn hit a chip shot field goal. Maybe most telling, though, of special teams on the night last night was this. Texas declined to take a chip shot field goal, or what should have been a chip shot field goal, about a 45-yarder, and instead go for it on a 4th and 1. That would have given Texas a 3-score lead in that second quarter. Sark neglected to do it. If Bert Auburn were automatic, Jerry, I bet he would have taken those points. Yeah. But he rolled the dice instead. You agree with that sort of thing impacting the Texas head coach's play calling?
I think so. I think Sark only wants to kick a field goal if he feels like he has to, by the way. I mean,
he's a go-for-it guy.
Yeah. And I think he was looking for the kill shot maybe on that drive in the game last night as well. I think the other thing, special teams, Matthew Golden again tried to force a kickoff return. That wasn't.
Sure did.
I mean, he was trying to make a play, make up for maybe a play earlier in the game, tried to force one. Texas punted once for 42 yards, which is better average than what Clemson had. But again, that was more of a directional punt. Texas is directional punting. Look, I would say special teams. I mean, I guess you just got to give him a B. I mean, Bert Auburn made his only field goal attempt. You didn't shank a punt. We've seen
They didn't lose special teams.
Right. Matthew Golden had the questionable decision, which takes you down half a grade, because that wasn't a good decision.
Yes, I agree with that. I could agree with that. And I think everybody that's listening to you probably nodding their head right now in agreement with that. Look, we've yet to see this special teams unit break out. I was actually, I mean, the punt itself that Texas did have was a low liner. Yeah. Even though it went 42 yards, they returned it 7. Look, I think that special teams is what it is at this point at the University of Texas this year. Hopefully next year and in years previously. I mean, Ryan Sanborn a year ago was terrific. Bert Auburn a year ago was terrific. Jeff Banks, a good special teams coach this year, just not working right now at an optimum level, I think, for Texas. All right, Jerry, overall for special teams, you said B.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I'm probably going to go with C plus, because I just didn't. Not, C is is supposed to be average. I thought they were very average on Saturday. All right. Anything else you want to add before we let folks go here for our defensive grade segment?
I think the defensive grades are going to be higher on January 1 against Arizona State, and I'll leave it at
that. Let's see if Cam Scatabo can run against the Longhorns in a couple weeks. For Gerry Hamilton, I'm Bobby Burton. This has been On Texas Football. Hook 'em.